Alright, so I haven't done a Q&A in the longest goddamn time, like 10 years. So I figure why not dust this one off? I'm going through some old questions that I had saved from previous Q&As. Um, so these are going to be from a long, long time ago. Feel free to post your own questions, and I don't know when I'll do another Q&A, but it'll be one of these ones on Wildcard Wednesday. Just don't request any games. Those won't show up on here. I don't want the thing to get too repetitive. First question, who runs the world? The Patriots. And I don't mean New England Patriots. I'm talking about the ones from Metal Gear. Were you ever a fan of Star Wars? No, not really. I I think that I don't hate Star Wars. I just think that's all right. It's like I watch them and then I'm done. I don't watch Mandalorian. I don't watch any of the spin-offs or anything like that. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not the biggest sci-fi fan to begin with, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily would write it off because of that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of fantasy either, but I do like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. So, I don't write off Star Wars because it's sci-fi specifically, but it didn't help the matter either. I don't. It just isn't my thing. Do you know any martial arts? Yes, I'm actually a brown belt in judo. Judo is something. Actually, the funny thing is that judo is the reason why my parents met. So I'm only alive because of it. Um, it was one of those things that I was on again, off again. As a kid, I did it for a few years. As a teenager, I did it for a few years, and then as an adult, I did it for in like another 5 years. So I had a few stints with it. Um, haven't practiced in like 5 years or so, but it's a grueling workout. It's a hell of a workout, that's for sure. How much time do you spend playing modern games, seeing as how you tend to review retro ones? Funny thing is, I actually probably play modern games more on my not my free time, but outside of my channel. If I am playing retro games, it's probably for the channel, especially now because I'm doing the weekday stuff. So really, basically, any casual retro gaming I would be playing would be going. It basically gets all funneled into the channel. Uh, but I do play a fair share of modern games too. It's just not it doesn't eat up a lot of my personal time though because I have a decent amount of hobbies and interests outside of video games. So I don't know, maybe a few hours a week. It doesn't take up a lot of my now that I think about it, no, I don't play modern games as much as retro. It just now that I've, done the math, I guess. Are you planning any Sega Master System game reviews? Now, remember I said no requests of specific games. This is different, so this does not disqualify from the rule. And the funny thing is, this question was asked probably 8, 10 years ago, and I still haven't done a Sega Master System game. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I should. I haven't delved into that yet, and I have no reason to say that I won't. So I don't know. Be on the lookout. What video editing software do you use? Currently, I use Cyberlink Power Director. I forgot which version it is at this point, but yeah, whatever one is the most up to date. Is there any particular review that you've done where the viewer response you received surprised you in some way? Be it because it was so positive, or it was so negative, or it was simply such a great or overwhelming amount of response, or the like. Well, I guess I wouldn't say a particular review that I did. I'd say probably the biggest surprise I ever got was getting response at all. I mean, when I came in, it was during a time, it was, May of 2007. So there was quite a bit of video game reviewing going on YouTube. And looking back in retrospect, I'm still surprised that I ended up getting some semblance of a cult following. I mean, you pretty much have to stand out in order to come out of the pack like that. So I don't know at what point that happened. Um, it was a very gradual thing, but that was probably the biggest surprise. Besides the Mega Man games, do you have any favorite game soundtracks? And do you generally prefer those from the 8-bit era? Probably I guess probably Sonic the Hedgehog. That's definitely the first thing that comes to mind outside of Mega Man. I mean, I love video game soundtracks and I love music in general. I wouldn't say I prefer the 8-bit era. As far as video game music, I kind of do in a way. It's just a whole different ballpark. It's like different musical genres. There's different reasons to like and dislike certain genres, and I wouldn't say that I have. I mean, I'm pretty much a rock guy, but even then, there's a lot of different subgenres, and sometimes you're in the mood for one thing, and sometimes you're in the mood for something completely different. So it depends. I wouldn't really say one way or another, but in order to not completely evade your question, I do have a soft spot for the 8-bit era, so there's that. Would you ever consider doing a podcast? I think you have a good voice for that sort of thing, and it would be nice to hear you completely unscripted. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess you could say that the playthroughs that I do now, I mean, of course, this question was asked before I even thought about doing these, weekday shows, but you could kind of say that this is a semi podcast because there's just a lot of bullshit commentary going on. Um, I really don't know what I'd be doing as far as a traditional conventional podcast goes. I really don't know what I would do. So, I think that this kind of fits the bill. It's unscripted, of course, and really so is the ranking the soundtrack videos. I just kind of go by bullet points and just fly by the seat of my pants. What is the most dreadful walkthrough you ever done? Dragon's Lair or Captain Planet? Well, if you're just talking about those two, and those are some good choices as far as the most dreadful walkthrough. I mean, Dragon's Lair was one monster in its own tier. Captain Planet was bad, but I don't know, something about Dragon's Lair between I'm not I don't want to go into a whole rant about the game. I almost did, but I'll just say Dragon's Lair. Are there any games that you've enjoyed as a kid that having gone back were really bad in retrospect? Yeah, a good example of that is Super Pitfall. It's a shit game, but I did enjoy playing it. That's about it. I don't know why. I never even came close to putting it in the same conversation as regular Pitfall, but I don't know what it was about it. I liked exploring that stupid fucking game. Are you related to my father? I don't know, maybe, because I have no idea who the hell you are, but if I am, then by default, guess I'm related to you too. I would like to start doing Let's Plays, walkthroughs, and reviews myself. What advice would you give to someone just starting out? Well, I mean, this because this question was asked so long ago, you've either started by now or you probably never will. But to answer this question to anyone who is considering starting out, going back to kind of what I was talking about before, if you're doing a video game channel, I mean, you've got to stand out. Whatever it is that you do has to be its own thing. And I don't mean get gimmicky or force anything. Do something that's organic and natural and real, but don't emulate or mimic anything. So, a combination of staying true to yourself, but you got to at least do something different. You have to have a reason for somebody to watch your stuff as opposed to somebody else's. What is your opinion on Pokemon? I don't know. It was something that I never got into. It's an interesting phenomenon, I'll tell you that much. Favorite food? Oh man, this is kind of a this is a toss up between chicken wings and Chinese food. If I were to be executed and I had to have a last meal, it'd be one of those two. I'd probably go with the Chinese just because there's more variety in there, but maybe I'd go with the chicken wings and just have a different kind of sauce on each wing. I don't know. It's one of those two, depending on my mood. Today it would be chicken. Does Hannu Mäkinen make you in the cartoons in the likeness of you? Yeah, although my look hasn't exactly stayed the same. I don't have long hair anymore, but and we actually did incorporate that into the Mega Man X cartoon where the hair was cut shorter. Well, the reason was twofold. One, to have it stand out separate from the classic series of Mega Man, and because, that was my look at the time. But I kind of tend to think of, I don't know, I guess my cartoon character as being the old version more than anything. Ever wondered about making your own Robot Masters? Yeah, in fact, I used to do it all the time. When I was a kid, I would draw my own Mega Man stages. I think I mentioned it in one of the Mega Man Maker videos that I did. I used to draw my own Robot Masters, my own levels, make up the weapons, the whole fucking nine. I remember the first one I ever came up with was Tree Man. I wish I still had all of the drawings that I did. What's your favorite movie ever, and what's the worst movie you've ever seen? Wow. All right. So I don't know. There's definitely a difference between favorite movie and best movie. My favorite movie is probably Rocky. I mean, that's like kind of my nostalgic go-to, and it never gets old, no matter how many times I've seen it. Worst movie I've ever seen. I don't know. The one that comes to mind is Manos: The Hands of Fate. If you're gonna watch it on Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's the way to watch it. Do you find your reflexes getting slower the older you get, which makes it harder to play old school games like Sonic? I'm sure that my reflexes have gone down a little bit, but nothing noticeable, nothing to the point where I'm saying to myself, damn, I can't do this anymore, I can't do that. At least not with video games. So, we'll see. There's still plenty of time before things get worse. I'm only 37 right now, so I've definitely peaked, that's for sure. All right, so that's enough questions for now. Like I said, feel free to ask your own, post them in comments, and if I don't answer it, it either is because it's a repeat question from a previous episode, it's a game request, or I just ran out of time and it ended up just falling into the back burner. Now, those may not be the only reasons why I won't answer something, but they're the only reasons I can think of something right now. So, till next time.